Hey guys, it's Doomed of Alpha Omega, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to kill Krakens and Piranhas. Killing Piranhas can be pretty easy once you understand these three basic things about them. 1. Their movement speed. 2. Their radius of detection. And 3. About how much health they have. Once you get a good feel for these three things, you can make better judgments whether to fight a Piranha or not. The first technique I'm going to be showing you is pretty safe and reliable, and you start by making a straight line of bridges but leaving gaps in between them. There's actually a few benefits to leaving gaps in your bridge. For one, you can get further into the ocean, and 2, you have just enough speed to backtrack and hit them without taking a hit. Oh, and also a little side note about this strategy. If you want your bridge to change directions, make sure to put another bridge on both sides of the bridge that's changing directions, because if you're being chased by a piranha and you're using this gap technique, once you get to a corner and change directions, the gap's not going to work because you're not going to travel the full length of the bridge. So on every single one of those corners, you're going to get hit. So you're just going to want to make sure to cover both ends of those corners. The second technique I'm going to be showing you isn't quite as reliable if you're trying to farm for piranha kills, but it gets the job done a lot easier. So in order to do this, you're going to want to make a small square of bridges, and that really just depends on how comfortable you are. You want at least a 2x3 section of bridges, or if you're less comfortable with killing them in such a small area, you can make a 3x3 or even a 4x4. Now, with this strategy, it's super easy to kill, and it's basically like killing a wolf on land. But the downside of this strategy is that not very many piranhas are going to be by your little area, so you're going to have to go out and lure some back to it. The last strategy I'm going to show you isn't quite as practical as the other ones, but they're still useful in case you get into these situations. And basically, this strategy is just exploiting the barriers on the left wall and the top wall of ocean. If you're ever near these areas and you see a piranha nearby, you can just lure it to the wall and then begin strafing either left and right or up and down to where you can give it hits and it can't even touch you. And now I'll be showing you how to kill Krakens. The biggest part of killing Krakens is preparing for it. And the resources you're going to want to get are a couple of thousand wood, 1,000 stone, 50 gold, and plenty of food. You can optionally get a few bandages for the inevitable hits you're probably going to take. And to begin, you're going to want to make a small base of bridges, about 5x5 or 6x6. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and make your bench, furnace, and about 5 or 6 chests, and then stone walls and doors. Now, this first strategy for killing Krakens is by trapping them, and so you're going to want to design a small enclosure that a Kraken could fit into. As you can see from my design, I have a top wall of chest and a side wall of chest, and this is because you can hit the chest with your sword and not have to worry about them breaking ever. Next, you're going to want to make sure to leave a small hole big enough for a Kraken to come into, and make sure to leave your door open. Once you're done setting up this little trap, the hard part is finding the Kraken. The best way to find a Kraken is to use the bridge gap technique and check multiple directions to see if you can find a Kraken anywhere near you. Once you find your Kraken, you're going to want to make sure that the pathway back to your trap doesn't have any gaps in it. Now, the tricky part is to get it all the way back to your base. And an interesting thing about the Kraken's behavior is that once you're in a certain range of it, it goes the opposite direction that you're in. So if you want it to follow you, you have to get super close to it. But once you have it following you, you can basically lead it all the way back to your base, but try not to get too far away from it, because then it'll go in the opposite direction and you'll have to repeat this. Once you've led it all the way back to your base and got it inside your trap, just exit through your open door and then quickly go to the other side and block it. Now that you've successfully captured a Kraken, it's time to kill it. And the biggest tips I can give to you for killing it is 1, not to get too close to it, and 2, to make sure you hit the base from just about every single side of it, just so you're not too concentrated on one side and end up breaking a wall. But just in case you do end up breaking a wall, you're going to want to make sure to have an extra wall back up in your inventory so you can quickly replace it before he gets out. But if he does get out, you can just simply repeat the capture process. Another thing to watch out for is when your bridges might inevitably break. You can easily kill one Kraken without worrying about your bridges breaking because of how much damage it takes. But if you're trying to kill multiple Krakens, it's probably going to break. Now, you might want to keep in mind that the health on these things is a little bit more than a dragon, so it's probably going to take you quite a bit of time to kill this thing. And finally, the last strategy for killing a Kraken is just like the last strategy for killing a Piranha, and that's by using the exploit of the barrier on the left side of the ocean. Now, in order to do this, you can basically just use the bridge gap technique to explore the ocean to find a Kraken, and once you've found one, make sure to fill all the gaps in your bridge and lure it back to the shore. Once you get it back to the shore onto the barrier, you're going to want to place a vertical row of about 2 or 3 bridges. Once you start hitting it, you're going to want to make sure to keep moving up and down and not stopping, because if you stop, it'll dive straight for you. Well, I hope this helped you guys out a lot, and maybe I'll see you in another video. See ya.